Hi, today we're going to keep it light. Are you ready? We all enjoy a good laugh, and so did Jesus. When Jesus said in Matthew 19:24 that a proud rich man entering heaven is like shoving a camel through the eye of a needle, his audience would have been rolling. Jesus often used sarcasm in getting his message across. So let's not take ourselves too seriously and show ourselves some of God's grace. I have a couple points I would like to make and question I'd like to ask you. I feel we need a good Christian cookbook. Are you with me? I want Jacob's recipe for stew. In Genesis 25, verses 29 and 34, it was so good that a man, his brother Esau, gave up his birthright. That's some good stew. All I'm looking for is a man, some bling bling. So if you're of that Jacob lineage and you have this 300 generations of passed down stew recipe, please post it below. I could use that, okay? And I'd like to know how to make manna. Who's got that recipe? I know Jesus, God has it, but does anybody here? But at least we have angel food cake. Yay! Now, we also have devil's food cake, but that's a different cookbook. Yeah, and it's like deviled eggs. No. At my house, we have stuffed eggs. We took the devil out of them. Just saying. And unleavened bread. Is that like crackers? Because when I do communion at home, I use crackers. I don't think Jesus minds as long as I'm doing it for the right reasons in remembrance of him. But while we're talking about food, let's talk about the apple. Yeah, we all know the apple. Now, if I were Eve, I'd be mad at Adam. For at least a while, I would be mad at him. Telling God that it was all my fault. Now, he didn't have to eat the apple. Am I right? If Eve wanted to deceive Adam, she'd have baked him a nice little apple pie. Right? Yeah. But she didn't do that. Now, the Bible starts, Genesis, everything's perfect. God saw it was so good. And then Genesis 2, everything's still really good. Genesis 3, boom, out of the garden. We made it to chapter 3 in Genesis before we blew it. And I say we because if it hadn't been them, by now, if it hadn't been someone else, it'd have been me. So I'm not blaming Adam and Eve for ruining it all for mankind. But I'm so glad that God shows us in his word the human side of his elect. So we can see how perfectly we all fit right in to the family of God. Now, Moses, on the other hand, In Numbers 12:3 it states, the man Moses was a quiet, humble man, more so than anyone living on earth. Wow. That's quite something to be said about someone, the most humble person on the whole earth. There's a lot of people, even back then, there's a lot of people to choose from who's humble. And again, it says in Numbers 12:3 that Moses was a quiet, humble man, more so than anyone on the earth. I stress this because Numbers, the book of Numbers, was written by Moses. Okay? Now, I know that this is the inspired word of God, so don't send me any mean stuff, okay? No mean letters or anything, okay? Don't be mean. But is it humility if you tell people that you're humble? Just asking. What do you think? Now, often, God calls us out of our comfort zone, maybe to do a Bible study or something. But, I thank God that we have it, most of it, easier than what they did back, in the biblical Bible days. I mean, God told Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac in Genesis 22. Now, I know if I were Isaac, just as soon as I got home, I would be all about, Mama, you know what Daddy did? He tried to do? I'm never going anywhere with Daddy alone. Ever. That's probably what went on in the house. I'm just saying. We don't get to see all the behind the stuff scenes. So, and about the prophet Hosea. Now, God commanded him to marry. Commanded. I mean, you talk about a shotgun wedding. When God says you marry, you better marry. So that's what he did. He was obedient and he married. And this woman that he married, her name was Gomer. Now, I don't know how many Gomers that you know, but the only one I know is a Marine, and his last name is Pyle. Yeah, and now Gomer, we're just going to keep this clean. She liked to run around on him. Yes. And so he would have to go and get her and bring her back home. And so I just want to leave you with this thought that if you're married and your wife is named anything but Gomer, you are so blessed. So blessed. And we all are. Thank you for joining me today. Your time is precious. You could spend it anywhere. Thank you for spending it with me today. God bless you.